Hey viewers, welcome to another exciting episode of Fast, and today I have the privilege of having a conversation with one of our finest motocross stars and that this country's ever produced, and on his beautiful property here out at Mulbring, or is it
Mount Vincent?
Mount Vincent, in the beautiful Hunter Valley. A little bit cloudy outside at the moment, and we've got some rain, and you can't see the extent of the view here, but it's most certainly one of the beautiful properties in the Hunter Valley. And I've watched Craig grow as a junior rider many years ago, back in the 80s, 85, 86, probably, yeah, 85, 86, 87, and you could have done anything you wanted to, but mate, thank you so much for the privilege, Ando. It's so good,
Pleasure
mate.
to be here.
Yeah,
really, I watch it all, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, no worries. So thanks so much, mate, for giving us this time. So, okay, let's go to. I've got the list of my questions here, and I haven't brought my glasses in. So, mate, where did it all start? Where did it all start for you? Because I know you've just been a motorbike family for as long as what I can remember. So where did it all start?
Yeah,
for
so
you?
I started on a 70 trike actually. My dad used to race dune buggies at Stockton Beach on the weekend, and I think I was 3 when I started going up there with him, and he which I can't believe that I'd stay on this one section. He'd say, stay here all day, and I'd just ride all day by myself, you know, and then he'd come back and get to the end of the day. But
yeah.
so he raced dune buggies every weekend, and I just rode a trike, and then all of a sudden he got me a Pee-wee, and I wrecked that in a few months, you know, going crashing it and you know, doing what you do, what kids do. And I had a buddy that I was friends with his younger brother actually. I was go to school with his younger brother, and he was into bikes at magazines. Warwick Fraser, his name is. We grew up in Barnsley, so. I was just at their house one day, and he had the new magazine. It was like the 1986 model KX60, and he's like, "Man, you need one of these." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I need one of those." So for some reason, I must have taken the magazine home, and I've showed my dad, and I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I want one of these." And back then, the Kawasaki were not really, you know, it was either Honda or Yamaha. You know, there was not a lot of any good out there, and the old man said, "No, that's a piece of crap. It's a Kawasaki. You're never getting one of them." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I really want one, Dad. This looks cool. It's this and that." And he said to me, if I'm going to get you one of these, you've got to start racing." I said, "I don't give a shit what I've got to do. I want one of them. If you want me to race, that's what I've got to do." So we just, and then pretty well, Sparrow, Barry Reed, Chad's uncle, he was already riding as well. And he got me sort of riding and coached me from the first get-go to learn how to ride. And, run over me, push me over, does what you get done. And we just went to our first race. It was at Lakes at the dirt track, and I started in D grade 60s. I'm like, whatever. My number was X. I think only thing I had brand new was a helmet. Everything else was second hand. So I probably look like that weekend warrior that's just let's go for it.
Turned up and started.
And I ended up winning my first race. So a whole shot, won my first race, and I got to the checkered flag and I stopped. I was checking the checkered flag and I stopped, like looking at him, stopped at him, and the guy's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, "Where do I go now?" And he's like, "Oh, you've got to go down around here." So I had no idea. Everyone just said, "You got to go good start. You got to go as fast as you can." That's all I knew was I just had
newbie.
So I stopped at the checkered flag on my first race, and he says, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, where do I go now?" And he goes, "Oh, well, your next race you're C grade." I'm like, "Oh, all right, where do I go?" And he goes, so I was C grade, and I ended up getting third for the rest of the day or something like that in C grade. But that's where it all started from my first go. 6 weeks later, out at Lakes on the motocross track, you had to, out of the first turn, there was like a step up, like a step thing, and as little kids going, "Man, I think I can jump that," and saying to the old man, "Can I jump that?" And as the old man said, "Man, you can jump that easy." So all right, let's go. The old man said I can do it easy, so I just hit a pin, and like massive one, and broke my leg. But it was only a fracture. It wasn't a crazy break, but it was pretty bad. And I'm like rolling around the ground screaming.
At that age?
Yeah, 8. So the old man comes up and he pulled my boot off, and he's looking at it, and that's not broken. And he made me ride the bike back to the car, and
as you do.
So I get back to the car and I'm limping around. I can't even walk on it. And then the next day, he didn't take me to the hospital because it didn't look broken. And I'm like, "All right, no worries." So we didn't go to the hospital. Next day, we gets up. I'm crawling up the hallway because I couldn't walk on it.
Oh.
He's, oh, is it still sore? I said, yeah, it's still really sore, Dad. And yeah, he goes, oh, you can come to work with me today. And so he goes to work with him on the council, hanging out in the caravan and stuff.
Yeah.
He's had a little dog that he took to all work all the time. Hit my leg and it hurt real bad. Started screaming. Oh, I think we better take him to hospital. So he goes to hospital and gets a plaster up to the hip.
Full length.
Full length for 6 weeks. And
At 8.
At 8, and I think I broke the plaster 4 or 5 times or something.
Yeah.
Running around, or being a kid.
Yeah.
But that was introduction to motocross. 6 weeks into it, and eat shit and broken leg.
Wow. So, because predominantly a lot of the meetings that I went to when I was racing flat out in the 80s, I just remember seeing you at the dirt track. And I remember just seeing this little energetic kid, and you were just
ADHD
like
kid,
blue eyes, blonde hair, this little kid, but you could ride.
It was. I enjoyed just riding, whatever it was. I just rode every day. I just enjoyed it that much. It was kind of my out, Like I just wanted to ride every day, and the lucky thing was I was probably more lucky than anything because my old man would go to work and he would just make sure the bike had fuel, and I'd get home, and as you couldn't do it now, I'd just ride down the road and we'd just go ride in the bush, and we'd do it every day.
Every day.
Now, obviously, it's very hard to do that. You can't just go ride in the bush, and you don't really let your kids do that as much anymore.
Yeah.
But he had a backhoe and diggers and stuff, so he built us a motocross track and a supercross track, and we just every weekend we just went riding and crashed and burned.
Yeah, good setup out there, your dad's place.
It was good, yeah.
Yeah, I remember going out with Bo there a few times, and good setup.
Yeah, the dirt track side, I guess my introduction to dirt track was the first open race I'd done. I broke my leg 6 weeks off, and then my first race back was the Lakes Ironman. And it was 1 day motocross, 1 day short circuit. Yeah. It was a mud race. So you imagine our lakes in the mud on a 65.
On the downhill first corner.
Yep. So I ended up going pretty good. I ended up first on the 65, and it was a geared 50 back then. I ended up third or something. And then dirt track, Lakes dirt track wasn't really a dirt track. But anyway, the next year, so 87 was my first national title at Nepean. And oil track back then, right?
Would have been oil.
Yeah, and
87.
Dirt track and a sprocket that pretty well run around the hub.
Yeah, on the back end.
And
60s would do 140 k's an hour.
Yeah, and we had a downpipe on the 60, and but 80 was stock. It was just motocross. Like Paul Rowe used to port the engines. Remember old Rowie? Yeah. So he used to port all my engines, but motocross port job, just not too crazy. Yeah. And the 60 was always pretty fast. Whether it was just that's how they were fast anyway. Yeah. But I ended up winning my first junior dirt track title at Nepean in 87. Yeah. On the 60, but got my arse handed to me on the 85 because it wasn't. Just whether I wasn't fast enough or it wasn't fast enough, but the 65 I won all the races. Yeah. But I used to just like ride the 65 with the downpipe because it just sounded so good.
It was cool. It was cool.
Actually, the guy built the pipe for me was Tony Vickers' dad. Is it Ray? Ray Vickers? He built the downpipe, yeah. I
was only talking to Tony about this the other day, and so many people, and Ray now, the craftsmanship and the workmanship in the pipes that he built.
The tongue pipes,
you would not find a better pipe in the world, handmade.
Yeah, and man, I used to just ride around the pits, like it just sounded so good. The 85 had just a normal pipe on it, so I was like, that's shit. Yeah. This one sounds good. So.
Yeah, but no, he certainly built a lot of pipes and been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
But that good old days, mate, eh?
Oh, just the friendship you make. You'd be going to the races and. There was no money involved. It was just we just wanted to do our best and ride, and you got on. You always had them rivalries with that guy that you wanted to beat, but you just worked your ass off through the week, and you went racing on the weekend, and just see if the drawing come out on top. If you didn't win, you went home back to the drawing board. And you went, what have I got to do better to win?
Do some more work.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
do some more work. But they were good days because back in those days too, and. I think you probably still could have done it in the 80s, although they had probably more locks on the gates and then you had control through the presidency. But you could still go and ride it. You could still go and ride.
When I reckon it was probably 90, 91. The Lakes track was open 7 days a week. Yeah. There was a few of the boys used to go riding there before school. You just rock up and you ride. I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. We used to go there every week.
That'd be awesome.
And it was just open. You just drive into the gate and do your laps and go home. No corner marshals, no shit. No one got hurt, but everyone knew their job. You know, everyone would look out for each other. If there was a few guys riding, one crash, hey, you're okay, yep, keep riding.
Yeah.
So we all had respect for each other, but we just don't have that anymore. And I think it's hurt the riders as a whole, because I think, you know, they don't get to ride enough now.
Well, you don't get to ride enough, but not only that, the industry suffers too, because the reason we have motorbikes is to ride them.
Yes.
That's why. And if you have a track that's open and they've got a 24/7 permit system, and you sign your waiver and you pay your money, go and ride your motorbike.
Yes,
it's motocross.
Yep.
If it gets tire marks in it, who cares? Because you want ruts and you want to ride.
Exactly. And I think the biggest thing now is a lot of the kids now, they don't like riding if it's dry or dusty or whatever, which is not a lot of fun. It is a bit shitty. But as you get good at it, you get stronger. It becomes a bit more fun. But you know, I always say to all the kids I coach that, you know, sometimes riding on a rough, shitty track, it's not a lot of fun, but it's not fun getting your ass kicked on Sunday either.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because you look at the riders that have grown up in the rough stuff.
Yeah, and you know, you need a balance. You can't just ride all dry and dusty shit tracks.
Yeah.
You know, you need to ride good prep tracks. You need a 50-50 mix. You can't just do one of that, one of that, because then you know, I haven't quite found a motocross track yet that's got smoother at the end of the day, or a dirt track that don't have the
Exactly.
So you know, you've got to be good across the board.
Yeah.
And that's something that we probably overlook sometimes.
Yeah, reading the terrain.
Yeah.
Reading the terrain as well. Yeah. So. Yeah, we're going to get onto that with your coaching stuff, because I know you're doing a fair bit of that too with the kids now. You know, which is always good, putting it back into the.
It is. It's something that when we were kids was not real big. It was more the old man took you riding and tore strips off you if you sucked, or but it's starting to get a bit more of the learning from experiences and coaches, and it's kind of it's good for the sport. I think it keeps it a bit safer as well.
Oh yeah, for sure, the safety factor of it. And not only that, if you can lift the intensity of the riders and their ability, but then also increase the safety.
Exactly, yep.
The racing.
We're always going to... That's the funny thing about dirt bikes. It's bloody dangerous, but it keeps us coming back. You know, like you can have the biggest crash and shit that hurt, you'd be out for, broken bones, whatever, and then you start to feel good again. Oh shit, we're going to get back on the bike.
Mate, I love the pain from training, and I know that sounds crazy, but even still now, if I'm 54, we've got a ride park day on Sunday at Curry.
Yep.
The forecast is fine, and I can't wait to get out there.
Sun's in the right spot. You're ready to
go. Exactly, and it's the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Adrenaline's the drug, and I can't wait to get there, because I know.
And the night before, you're like up every hour, like, man, is it time? You're like,
it's Thursday now. I'm running back to Curry inside me head. I'm going to a ride park day.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm not going out there to make myself look like a Gumby, but there's a few things I want to try. I remember doing a few things there in 2009. I wonder if I can still do those things. Pretty crazy.
Yes.
But, it just keeps us going back.
Yeah, exactly.
So, now your skill set, like I said, I admired watching you as a kid, because you could ride anything from dirt track sidecars to a 60 with a downpipe to a stock 85 and ride the wheels off it. I remember watching you throwing bikes around West Maitland.
Yep.
And the skill set that you had, you could have, particularly at that time in the 80s, because Wayne Gardner was 1987 world champion.
Yes,
So that path and that way of thinking then was starting to obviously open up in different avenues. But then your decision then you went to the motocross.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing about with the motocross, like I always just rode motocross.
Yeah.
Because that's you don't really have a dirt track in your backyard. We just had a motocross track. We just rode motocross.
Easy to maintain. Motocross.
Yeah, you just rode it. Just never got maintained.
Yeah.
So I think it was just when there was that weekend, there's a dirt track, right, let's go there. I like the speed, really holding on. I used to get pretty pissed off if I got beat, which is nature.
Yeah.
With the dirt track, I think what steered me away from not staying on the dirt track or doing more dirt track was, I like the jumps as well.
Yeah.
So where the dirt track was good because I was sliding and doing all the stuff was great, but I like to do the jumps. Motocross give you a little bit of dirt track, a little bit, especially if you ride on lakes. It's like dirt track with jumps because it's concrete. Where I like the motocross that side. And it was just what we done through the week.
That's right, because So that was, that was probably my question, Ben, particularly for the viewers as well. Like I know, like I used to
think
watch
dirt
Craig
track
all the
really.
time.
I think dirt track really taught me feel for the tyres on the ground. You knew if it was spinning, you knew if it was driving. It really taught you to weight the outside foot peg. It taught you throttle control. As much as like the dirt track is in fitness wise, I could compare to a motocross. You could do it for longer. But as in bike feel and bike turning under acceleration, I think that taught me a shitload going forward.
And you put all that down anyway at the tennis centre when you did the Super Motard. I remember watching that down at the tennis centre, and I think I wasn't involved in the sport then, but I got to watch it. I think I've still got the DVD at home, but you took that, particularly you could see on the dirt sections your feel with what the tyres were doing. You were able to get really good feel.
Yes, and there's something funny about that. That was my first motard. I'd done a few practice sessions, but I didn't have an idea, so I didn't even know if the tyres were warm or cold. I'd come in to say to Pip, which was my team manager at Honda. I'm like, Pip, am I going all right? He goes, oh yeah, you look good. I'm like, and I don't know if I can, like, it's got heaps of traction, but I don't know if can I go faster? Can I lean it over? Because I didn't know the difference, what it felt like. After a while I got the feel of it, but first up, I could feel it on the dirt because I knew what the dirt felt like and what the bike felt like. But on the tar, I was like going more and more and more throttle. And I was thinking, there's got to be an end. I'm going to eat shit here in a minute. And the tennis centre was pretty tight. There was gutters and there was walls and there was fences and shit could hurt you. So I was going more and more and I said to Pip, and everyone else around us is grooving tyres, and I just had normal Michelin, sort of half slick on the outside with the thing in the middle, and I said, should we be grooving them? And he's like, oh, does it feel all right? I'm like, oh, it feels pretty good to me. I'm not going out of control. He goes, oh, we'll just leave it. I'm like, oh, okay. So we just rode with the same tyres all day. And I just got better at the feel on the tar. And the dirt, I was starting to work it better and better and get on the centre of the tyre. And that was good.
Because I look at that skill set and I thought, do you ever think what may have been if you ever went to the road racing path?
I always wanted to have a go at road racing. I did a couple of track days with Honda, 05, 06 on superbikes and the 600s. I really enjoyed it, but if I always had a feeling that I could have done okay at it. Don't know if I could go all the way, but I felt like, and I don't know if it's because I'd done so much riding on under the power lines out at Westy, that real hard, chalky ground that you've got to hit the mark perfect every time to get it right. So my mind of hitting that perfect mark every lap become pretty important out there. So, and you need that a bit in motocross, and you obviously need that in road racing. It's really, obviously, you need it good in road racing because, you're coming in doing 200k on the corner. If you're this far out, then you're out into the boonies, I always thought I would have liked to have done road racing, but it does cost a lot more money too than motocross.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And it's you look at the attrition rate in that too when things do go wrong.
Oh yeah,
when things go wrong, they really go wrong.
Yeah, you're not very rarely getting back up and finish the race.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple of days down with the Moto DNA guys down at Eastern Creek and on the MT10 Yamaha and the 600 and just fell in love with it. I just thought it was awesome.
The track day I done it at Winton, and it was the end of the year. The factory Honda team, the road race guys got to ride our motocross bikes, and we got to ride the road race bikes. And I'm like, hey, here we go. So I had all my leathers all custom, Innocent on the back. I thought it was like full kit,
full factory.
And I got on, I think it was Krusty's bike or Josh Brooks's bike, one of the super bikes, and the gear's going the wrong way, and I've gone up the finish straight at Winton, and you got that S-bend already done, and probably 20 or 30 laps on the 600, and the gearbox is normal. And I got on the super bike and I'm up the straight, I'd done a couple of laps. Well, in this way, I've come up up that finish straight. And I think it was maybe 240, whatever I was doing. And it's, you know, when I went going down the gears, well, I've gone down and it's gone faster, and I've gone down again. It's gone because I'm going up the gears, and I should be going the other way. And I've come in, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to stop. And I went off the track through the grass. Probably would have still been doing 120 or something by the time I was trying to pull the thing up. Metal the forks in the grass, and I'm like on the slicks, and I've got back out onto the track, and I've looked back to see like. And they're like, everyone's on the pit wall like, dude, what are you, get back in here? So they've got me straight off the thing.
And all through a back to front gear shift.
Yeah. So I've gone in, I was kind of strop, and you know, it was funny. You know, I was following. I reckon it was Kevin McGee. He was there riding around with us as well, and I was coming into the corner behind him. And then I'll be like coming in hot, you know, and he'd back off. I thought early. Anyway, I'm nearly running into the back of him, but then he just mowed it through the corner, and he just pulled meters on me. But I'm thinking, man, he's braking early, and then I'm trying to pull up so I didn't run into the back of him, and then he's on the throttle and he's gone. Yeah. You know, so over the whole lap, he was crazy faster. But the first little ride on that Superbike was the power, man.
Oh, unbelievable.
I just gone.
Unbelievable. I noted when I rode the MT10 down there, because they wouldn't let me ride the R1.
Yeah.
But they let me ride the M10.
Yeah.
Quick shifter, traction control,
go for it,
like just incredible. This is so much fun.
Out of the turns, and the thing lights up.
I felt like I was Eddie Lawson. Like dead set. I missed my call in it. I just had so much. I had so much fun to the point where I thought I'm having too much fun.
Yep.
And if something goes wrong here.
Yes.
And I thought, last thing I'd hate to be paralysed or something because I was just having some fun.
Yep.
But really having some fun.
Yep. And
so I really stepped back and had a look,
and when I had to go on that, and then, you know, like I was thinking, this is pretty good, you know, like I was quite fit with the motocross, and I didn't really get so tired, so I probably wasn't pushing it as what a Krusty or Brooksy was, but you know, like I wasn't getting tired. I was like, man, this is good. And then, you know, when I went off the track and all the Honda guys were on the fence, they're like, mate, if you crash this thing, this has cost a lot of money.
Yeah, but at the same time too, Craig, like, yeah, it's the reverse gear shift, right?
Yeah, it's up, and it's weird.
Reverse.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever try to ride a slider? Did you ever try and ride?
No, but Todd Wilshire tried to get me to go. I was going to go down a couple of years ago. Is it who's got the speedway down in Appin? Lee, not Lee Adams.
No, that would have been just Appin.
Boise.
Yeah, Craig.
Yes, Boise, and and he was trying to get me to go down. He was going down on the weekend, like on one of the weekends. I said, yeah, I'm keen, but my kids had sports, so I didn't end up going there. But I talked to Todd a little bit. He's young guy, goes to school in the same school as my young guy.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah.
I talked to Todd a little bit, and he's like, man, you got to come in. I'm like, I'm keen to have a go, but you guys are pretty crazy, eh? Like, no brakes, 500, and you're just on it. I'm like, it just looks like it's going to, you know, he goes, oh, no, just send you back off it, let's go. And
it's easy, isn't it? As soon as you back off it, let's go. And then you go and try and
that's
ride.
normal.
And then you go and try and ride one of those things, and they flex like a road push bike.
And they look like a
fine art.
I watch a lot of this, like the Speedway Grand Prix on Fox.
Yeah.
And I sit there and watch it, and that 4 laps, mate, like this, like it's pretty cool racing.
Yeah.
It's bloody awesome, you know, on that start, and just the turning and the angle they get, it's pretty crazy shit.
And Craig spent a day with me out at Appin, and a couple of times you get yourself into trouble going into the turn, and that's when you've got to turn it on, and we naturally turn it off.
That's why you back it into there, and then you just go like that.
Hooks up on the flywheel, and next minute you're going faster, and you're going, oh.
And then how's when they're watching, they back it in there and they go like this, turn it on, and then it hooks up and gets traction. I know. Track's got to be perfect, so it's no slip.
Oh, I know exactly, mate. I know exactly. I just couldn't get my head around it. Yeah, I couldn't, but I take my hat off to him. I take my hat off to him. And
when I watch it, I'm like,
art.
It
that
is bad.
Art.
Yeah.
Absolute
the skills, and they get the thing right out there, and it's like they're nearly going like that way across the track, you know, and
yeah, they wash it. They're 90 degrees. Yeah, it's sometimes further, 90 degrees to the corner.
Yeah.
And
I said that actually when I was teammates with in the poster bike with Crumpy. I said to him, oh, Jason, what about some brakes? He goes, oh, you don't need brakes, man. There'd be too many people bombing down the inside.
Yeah, exactly. He was going to take me out and do a bit with me on the speedway, and I watched him do some coaching, and the way that he explained it made it sound very, very easy. The way that he explained it, and I watched what he was doing with the riders.
The words come across pretty easy.
Until you get the poopy pants going on.
Holy crap, yeah.
Oh, funny, mate. Funny. Okay, now, we've had a bit of a chin wag here, so let's go into your motocross, mate. So when did you realise, I know the love was just there for doing the motocross, but when did it get to a stage where you realised that you could actually do something with this, or did someone come to you and say, you know what, mate, you can make a go of this? Or
I don't know what I just had in my mind. So I'd done soccer when I was maybe 6 or 7.
Yep.
That was the first sport I'd done, as you
yep,
do.
Same.
Soccer.
Same. Yep.
I didn't get the ball enough, so I stuffed that. That's a shit game.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed kicking the ball, but I didn't get enough. So I was like, I'm over that shit.
Yeah.
So I always rode bikes, and then when we started in '86, and then '88, I went to the first Australian Junior Motocross title. Then we'd done Supercross at 12 then, but I already had a Supercross. The old man built me a little Supercross track. So I always liked Supercross jumping. But I just had it in my mind all the time. This is what I wanted to do. So from when I was 8 years old until I'm still now, I've never done another competition sport. It's the only thing I've ever done. Yeah. Obviously played squash and tennis and done swimming and done all the other sports. But at a competition level, I've only ever done motocross. Yeah. And I always had in my mind, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. There was never ever a, maybe we'll never go at that. It was just motorbikes my whole life. Yeah. So that's I think that's a pretty special thing for someone to have that much, because there's so many things to do for kids. It was never anything, I just wanted to do that. So
that's what you want to do.
There was never a plan B, which was kind of scary for a mum and dad, because I say to my kids all the time, you're sure you want to do this and you've got to work real hard to do this, but what if that don't work? It was never not going to work. I didn't have a plan B, so it had to work. Yeah. Which maybe was a good thing, because it made me push to learn to be better. Yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things. That's all I wanted to ever do. Ride dirt bikes. Yeah. Yep. Stupid dirt bike rider. But we're the dumbest, smartest people ever. Because you've got to be dumb enough to turn the throttle, but smart enough to know how to handle it.
It's all calculated risk, Mark.
It is.
It's all calculated risk, but there's strategy. There's so many things come in it, and there's commitment. The commitment to be that person as well. That molds you. Like I know some people have gone on to be very, very good businessmen out of their craft of what they do here.
Yeah, and it does. There's a lot of adversity in dirt bikes or dirt track road racing, or in bikes. Like you've got bumps, you've got rocks, you've got ruts, you've got other riders, you've got rain. It could be dry and slippery here, and grippy up there, and sandy down there. Yep. You have a lot of things that can go wrong.
Mind games
with that next guy. Yep. So and the rider, you've got to be so ready for anything.
The diversity, I suppose.
Yeah, you've got to be pretty good at nearly everything, and it's quite a good challenge. I always hated the challenge, but thrived on the challenge. Like, you can't do that. Yeah, I can. I'll give it a go.
Exactly.
Sometimes I just wish I was more like that outside of motorbikes, willing to give every more shit a go.
Because it can mould you into that person where you look at what you're building here now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you've got to have that. It's joining all them little dots together, and you come up with that.
Yes,
with that
and it's funny. It's not rocket science, but it's when you've just done like that sport. If you've done dirt track your whole life, I've done motocross my whole life. This guy's done this. When you do something so long and so focused on it, you're so confident at it. You know the ins and outs. You know what it takes to do this. And then as soon as even though it's similar to go to build a house or do this, it's just putting everything together and make it right. Yeah. But it's just different,
And it's your confidence. And it's your confidence with that. That's what I find now with the building stuff that we're doing at home. It's the building stuff, and I'm hesitant to do it because I'm thinking, I'm always thinking, how are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Where we get to a track and it's just like bang, bang, bang. You know what to do. You know how to set everything up. You're ready to go. You're ready to go.
You don't even quit. You don't even second guess yourself. You just go.
Coffee. Let's go.
Yep.
But yeah, with the building stuff,
it's different. Yeah.
It's totally different. It's totally different, but still, it's still a game of confidence. So
yeah, and just willing to have a go. I just hate the feeling when you do something that don't work and you got to either pull it down or start again. I'm like, damn, I just wasted 2 hours doing that.
Yeah, I know. I know that's the worst part, isn't it? You go, oh, now I've got to pull it.
Shit, now to start again. Yeah.
Now, that's why I've got books on notes and everything where you just record everything, you write it all down, measure it, measure twice, cut once.
That's what they say.
I think I've always learned. Measure twice, cut once. Sometimes I might measure 5 times.
I'll probably cut more and should throw that away. Start again.
Yeah, we'll burn that one. Yeah. So, mate, you were pretty well looked after early on.
My very first sponsor probably would have been Jesmond Motorcycle Engineering. You know, it was a little shop over there. I think it's Chris, the guy who started it.
Yeah.
He was the first little sponsor, probably, you know, whatever you give the parts off the parts, whatever.
And he came Kawasaki.
It was coming, Kawasaki Newcastle. But my first big, you know, they say the team that we rode for was Woody's Motorcycles. I think there was Mark Turl, Nigel Arnold, myself, and then Aaron Mosley was another little kid that was on. So it was like 4 of us, and then I think he had a couple. So that was it. We had the same gear, same everything. So that was 80. I think that was 89. Yeah, because I went Cowie 86, 87, 88, and then Honda went 89. So there was a couple of year thing there. But my very first ever free bike, as you say, free bike, not really free, just pay for it at the end of the year, or sell it and give it the money, was Kawasaki in 92. And it was through Alan Tompkins done all my bikes through the Greenwoods. So Al Tompkins done all my, you know, engines and built the cone pipe that he used to do, and that was the first sort of one free bike, and then I think Mum and Dad brought the 125, and we went racing, and then all of a sudden the next year, 93 was my first, as you say, team ride. I was the only Yamaha junior development guy that year. There was 3 of us. There was me as the junior kid, Stan Bergen as the 125 guy, and Rodney Hamilton as the 250 guy. So I was the only junior on the Yamaha team, and I used to stay with Ross McWaters when I was 15.
Yeah, wow.
And I used to go testing in the Peter Jackson truck, and I thought, rocking in.
This is cool,
mate. I'm the man, you know. I was only 15. I used to stay with him. The old story, if you ask Roscoe, he got me to mow his lawn one day when I was staying with him, and his wife just planted 4 new trees in the yard. I just mowed them straight over.
You levelled them.
Levelled a bread. Like, he just moved into the new house. His wife's planted all his new trees. I just, mate, he goes, did you go around the trees? I'm like, what trees?
What trees?
Mate, what trees? I just mowed the trees down. He's like, so it's a funny thing between Roscoe and I. We always like, no, don't mow the trees down.
Don't mow the trees down.
Straight down to grass level, out there.
You got plenty to mow.
I know, it's too much, eh?
Yeah, you got. How much you got here?
40 acres.
40 acres. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the days, eh?
Yeah, the days.
Mate, not a care in the world when you're 15.
None at all, mate. No, none at all. So so we all know that you and Chad are cousins. So how much age difference is you between you and Chad?
We're at 4 years. Just over 4 years, or just under 4 years. But yeah, he lived 3 houses around the corner. I lived on pretty well this corner. He lived on that corner. We just met on that intersection on the bikes, straight down the road into the bush, and we just rode. Every day. You know. I mean, the first year I met Katrina in 98, so I was 20, so Trav would have been 16. And we used to ride on Christmas Day. Every year we'd ride Christmas Day. We'd go to Grandma's for lunch, and then...
Well, you'd probably get a new bike for Christmas.
No, we never got new bikes for Christmas. No, it was just whatever we had. I don't recall getting a new bike for Christmas ever. It was always just the start of the year or whatever. But the first year, so I was 20, and Chad's like, we going riding? So we're going riding. Katrina's like, where are you going? I'm like, we're going riding. She goes, it's Christmas Day. It's the best place to go, best time. So I left her at my nan's house. We're out. I'll see her in a few hours. She's like, are you joking, right? So no. So Chad and I went there. We went riding. It's tradition. We just rode every Christmas Day. Yeah. So Chad just being, 4 years younger, we just rode together all the time, crashed and burned, had mud fights when it rained. Rode every day, and we just, banged around.
And had a good time. So do you still ride Christmas Day now?
No, I'm lucky to do anything Christmas Day now. Put kids' toys and just crap together now.
Eat food, drink beer.
Pretty well, yep.
Eat
Champagne
food.
in the morning, straight up.
Straight up. Champagne breakfast.
Champagne breakfast.
Champagne breakfast, yeah. So, you're into the seniors, obviously, because you're a little bit older than Chad. Did you ever have any desire to go to Europe or to the States?
I did. I went to
Early
Japan.
on?
I went to Japan to do 2 Supercrosses at the end of '97. Done pretty good. It was when I first actually signed with Craig Dack. So he took me to Japan. I'd done 2 Tokyo and Osaka Supercross.
Yep.
Done fairly well. Ended up crashing at Osaka, but I was running on a 5th for ages, and I ended up crashing, not doing in the overall results, but I actually rode quite well.
Yep.
So I had it in my mind that I wanted to go to Europe. Then when I got back from Osaka, I'd done a Supercross in Coffs Harbour. It was like the 28th of December and the 31st of December. So it was like a 2-night thing. The first night I was in a Dash for Cash thing with McFarlane. I whole shot the dash for the final thing, and I come around the corner and I seat bounced a double out of the corner, and when I come up short, my handlebar got me right across the kneecap, and it hyperextended my knee in the knee brace, so I had a real bad injury in my knee. It just wrote it off. Yeah. But because I just signed with Craig Dack, I just left Jeff Leeskin KTM, just signed with Yamaha, and I just thought, man, I had to tough it out. I ended up having probably my best year, but my knee just getting worse and worse. It was like a big managing thing all year. Yeah. But I was winning a lot of races. I was still going good. Yeah. So I didn't worry about getting it fixed. Then I went straight to Germany at the end of the year. So I was trying to get a ride in America '99 and talking to go to Europe '99, but this bad knee, decided to stay. Yeah. And then halfway through, maybe 4th race of '99. I overjumped this rhythm section at Brisbane Supercross, and it hyperextended my knee really bad that it got locked out. Oh. So, and then I had 3 months of recovery. Yeah. And when I come back, I probably come back a little too early. Yeah. Just thinking, probably young. I only had a 3-month injury clause in my Yamaha contract, so I had to be back. Otherwise, they'd cut me payment, and I had a mortgage to pay. Yeah. So I need to come back to keep getting paid. Yeah. So I probably was stupid. I probably should have stayed and not rode for another month and let it heal a bit more, but I come back. Yeah. Didn't hurt it, but it just wasn't strong. It just was weak.
You know it's there.
Yeah, and so I struggled real bad, and then all of 2000 was just, my knee was shit the whole year. Yeah. And then I started running again. At the end of 2000, I started getting better. So 2001 was a really good rebuild year. I won the Supercross Championship. I was getting stronger, but Burner, Chad and McFarlane done good at the start of 2001 when the MXGP was in Europe. Yeah. Sorry, 2000, because Chad went in 01. Yeah. So it was my year when people were starting to look here. I was really bad, not riding real good in 2000. Yeah. So I was a year behind to come back, but I'd always gone to Germany and done races in Europe. So I had a bit of a relationship with a couple of teams over there. So I nearly went to Europe in 02. Yeah. Then it just didn't work. The team that I was talking to was a team that had folded before the season even started, so that was a bit of a downer. So I stayed here for 02. Just lucky that Craig Dack was Yamaha team manager of Yamaha Troy, which was Chad's team manager in 02. Got talking to him, so I signed my Yamaha deal, and I think it was maybe Anzac Day of 02. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then that was your stint in America. That was my stint, yeah. So I kind of missed the boat when I probably should have been there. So I went a little bit later. I think I was 24, maybe turning 25. Yeah. So if I went that 2 or 3 years earlier, I probably would have been stronger and have been more resilient. Yeah. But I had a knee injury. I lost a lot of the timing wasn't quite right.
It just never happened, right? Yeah. The cards just never fell into place.
And I went, I felt I'd done quite decent. Won a national. I was, top 3 in another national, 7th overall.
In a massive championship.
So I had a good first year, and then I lost my ride. Yeah. I think it was just more, there was 4 riders on the team. Yamaha Troy, I think, was starting to go downhill a little bit with budgets, and they weren't prepared to pay the money that I was on. And the worst thing is what they'd done is they held me right to the end. Yeah. There was no rides left, so I ended up with a satellite Honda team for the second year, which was still good. I still had good mechanic, I still had decent bikes. 2 weeks before the Supercross Open, I had a massive crash at the test track and separated my shoulder. Yeah. So it just started the year off real bad. And then I started going really good at the end of Supercross. Then I got bloody landed on by a rider at one of the nationals in qualifying. So then I was hurt again a little bit, but I still enjoyed. I still learned a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that you look at, because I'm going to get you to talk us through that whole shot. That whole shot makes a cracker. Dead set. Like that's. But when you look at it, Craig, and the full grids and the competitiveness of the AMA.
The funny thing about AMA, man, like
and particularly at that time,
the first national that I done, if you're out of the top 20, you got to qualify Saturday. And if you're out of the top 10, you got to qualify Sunday.
Yeah.
So before the Sunday racing even starts, you've done a 20-minute moto. So you've done a 20-minute practice, a 20-minute moto, then you got 2:30s after that. And it's, California summer, it's like 40, between 38 and 44 degrees every day, and it's hot. So it's quite a big ordeal to even just get to that first moto.
And that's what I mean. We talk about athletes peaking, you know what I mean? We talk about periodisation, but you talk about athletes peaking in the life of a motocross rider. You've got to peak for that 30-minute, come in and rest, and then peak again for that 30-minute motor.
And then, like resting and recovering and thinking about changing the bike or tyre. It's a bit of an ordeal.
Yeah.
But it's what, when I look back at it now, I probably enjoyed it more than I did at the time, because I like that challenge of, I've got the right this, the right that. But yeah, that was
And injuries are such nature of our sport, you know what I mean? And as bad as what they are, it's really hard. Like, it's really hard to go through at that level too.
Yeah,
without sustaining
the biggest problem I had at the start of 03, I signed my contract to do East Coast Supercross, and I found out on the 18th of December that I was doing West Coast, and it started on the 3rd of January. So I was go time, I had to be back in America on the 19th of December, protesting, and we was struggling with the bike. It had good power, but the rev limiter on the 4-stroke back then was quite low, where right now they're quite high. We had to run 5th gear in the whoops in the West Coast tracks because the whoops were hard packed and slippery, so it had hit the rev limiter and cut and throw over the handlebars. So we always had to use 5th gear in the whoops. So you'd be clutching the shit out of it coming out of the corner in 4th, click 5th to go into the whoops. Feel like you're going to stall it every lap. And it got to a point where we was banging it out, but the 5th gear in the bike wasn't quite, in the internal gear wasn't strong enough, and it kept it'd blow a gearbox, and it'd throw you over the handlebars. Like, you didn't even know it was going to stop. It'd just go, and then just lock up, and you just go sailing out the front. So I'd done it about maybe 4 times at the test track, and I was like, man, this is
and then
you get scary,
And then you talk about confidence.
Yeah, so they end up changing the gearing on my bike. I'd run first, as in it'd be second, and then I'd go to second, as in third, and it just, the gearing. So we go 4th gear in the whoops. Worked great in the whoops because 4th it's a really strong. It was really good in the whoops, but you come out of corners in first, you'd be going through neutral and trying to get the rhythm. So this day at the test track, I was testing and come out of the test. It was a double, and then you go triple, single, and I went double, triple, hit third but second, and I hit neutral. And when I landed, I went out the front and I jumped off the front of the bike. And when I landed in the face of the last jump, and then the bike come in after me and squashed me and really done some damage. Broke my wrist and ruptured my spleen real bad.
Oh wow!
So I'm curled up in the corner for an hour, trying to get my shit together. Then I went home and I was I'm in a bit of pain. And Katrina and talking to Chad Nelly, you got to get in the hospital. I said, I think I'll be alright. Just let me go home and I'll just rest for a bit. All of a sudden, I'm like, I've got to go to the toilet. So I go to the toilet and it's like straight blood.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
I'm in trouble.
Straight to hospital. Being an Aussie over there, the insurance hadn't switched over from our Aussie one to our American. So I had to sleep in the hallway in ICU for 2 nights.
Oh, wow.
Because of the insurance. So I'm there's people going everywhere in the hallway and I'm, pissing blood and busted up. And so I slept in the hallway for 2 nights and they test me blood every 2 hours, and then the 3rd night they put me in a room. And then a couple of days later I was home and rested, and that was the end of the Supercross Championship. So
and like that issue, like to try and get through that issue with the bike, which was always an issue, and in the end it was the undoing of it in any case.
Yeah, so but
a lot of frustration. Do you think?
I'm a pretty patient person. I'm pretty patient. I've always been my whole life at the bike shop. Bike shop that was a bit shitty, but move on.
Try and ride around it.
Right around it. I don't ever think that I remember that I ever got angry that the bike stopped. You know, I mean, we're all human. We all make mistakes. You know, I mean, shit. When I was a junior, man, I don't remember how many crashes I had. I think I lost count by the time I was 10 and DNFing, and so. I wasn't really frustrated. I was more probably a bit scared of the thing blowing up, but I wasn't really frustrated. I was just, that's what we got.
Okay. Yeah, wow. Mate, okay, so we're moving on now. Representing Australia?
Yeah, 17. Mate, was that an eye-opener? 17 years old, 360, I was riding the open class, Slovakia. I went there by myself actually. So I travelled to Europe 17 just with a friend.
You can't, to put that into a life experience as a 17-year-old professional motocross racer going to represent your country.
Yeah, on the open bike, which is something I'd never ever ridden. I went 125 the first year and I went 250, and then all of a sudden after my first year on the big bike, I went 360 in the open class straight up. It was absolutely crapping myself. The track was like something that I've never ever seen before. It had massive hills. I remember one of the hills that was that steep that when you'd be going down a hill, you'd tilt your head back to look up the hill. My head didn't go far enough back to see it was only a short little sharp one, but it was that steep that I couldn't look far enough
to see the
back to see the top, so I'd just go up it like that.
And just let it take
and you just take it, let up the hop, and then it went up top and turned straight back off. Such an amazing track in this side of this hill, it's something I've never seen. But massive boulders it was like riding in a river, but on the top of a hill.
Wow.
Like all river rock in the ground and slippery as shit. Yeah.
You can't prepare for that.
You know
what I mean? Like, we're all pretty resilient, and I say that the motocross riders, I think the motocross riders and the enduro riders, I think, have a different resilience to everyone else because of versatility and how you have your conditions changing so much presents itself as an experience every single time, every single lap.
Yeah,
but how do you prepare yourself for that?
It is, and you get there and you're in practice and you're battling with, back in the day we said so many videos of Joel Smets and Everts and Shane King, Daryl King, all the guys Josh Coppins, all these guys that think and you're like, how you know, mate? You're 17, you're just a kid and you're just going for it. And the track, it was a massive eye opener. I was, for the first couple of days, I was probably very out of my depth. By Sunday, I was a lot more relaxed. It was definitely something that was.
It's all order for 17-year-old, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you're thrown in there.
Thrown in there, yeah. It was, but mate, it made me grow up real quick,
Sure.
And as scared and as unsure as I was a lot more confident just by doing anything after that.
Oh yeah, you would have been. You would have been for sure. And that was KDM?
Yep,
obviously
KDM,
on the 360.
With Leesky, yep.
Yeah, on the 360.
So,
So how many times have you done the donations, mate?
I went 95, 96. I was picked in 97. I got hurt 3 days before I was supposed to leave. That was a bit of a downer. So 95, 96, 97, 98.
Yeah.
I got picked 99, but I'd just come back from a knee injury and I didn't feel I was ready. And I felt I would have let the team down, so I didn't take it.
Yeah.
And then I went again in 02.
Yeah.
So.
What a moment, mate.
Yeah, it was. 96 was probably the biggest eye opener.
Yeah.
So being 18, I went to Europe. I was really by myself because the race was in Spain, and Leesky organised me to do a race in France the week later. It was an international race, and I had to fly from my mechanic Jimmy. He went from Spain back to Belgium, and I went to Paris. So I had to get a train by myself from Paris, Charles de Gaulle to Brussels, and I got on the wrong train and my car didn't work and I threw my bag over, it was all deal, and I was actually crapping myself the whole time. When you're in the train station, you have them turnstiles and there's glass doors on the other side. And I went through the first one and I didn't get the ticket back to put in the next one. I just kept going through, so I rocked to the next one. And I'm like, I don't have a ticket. I just jump over the little turnstile and I open the door and I'll go in. But I threw my gear bag over the glass wall first. So in my suitcase, in my backpack,
Yeah.
and I'm going through it all over there, and I've jumped over the turnstile, and I'm stuck on this side of the glass wall, and my gear bags are on that side, and I'm starting to get like peak.
Oh, you would have been.
And I'm like, oh shit, how do I get over there? And I'm like freaking. So I end up getting me over there. I got it all sorted. Then when I got off the train in Brussels, Leesky goes, oh, here's this guy. He'll come pick you up at the train station, and then he'll take you to the motel where the Aussies are.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. So I rang, oh no, I'm sick, I can't come pick you up. But the Aussies are staying at this motel. I'm like, oh shit. So I gets in the cab, gets to the motel, and I goes in the reception, and I'm starts, oh, I'm here to, all the Aussies here. Oh no, the Aussies are left, they've gone to Holland for the weekend. and I'm like, what do I do?
You would have been losing it.
I was just like, holy shit, this is like Thursday afternoon, and they're going to Holland for the weekend, which is, it's like an hour up the road, but I'm just standing there, no car. I had my card something was wrong with my card that wouldn't work in the European, so I had just a bit of cash on me. That said, all I'm thinking is I'm going to be parked here all weekend, nowhere to go, couldn't do anything. And I'm sitting in the lobby an hour later, I'm nearly crying. I'm just sitting there like, oh, I don't believe this. And I looked up, and all Aussies walked in. Oh, how you going?
Oh, what a relief.
Oh, mate. And I was like, oh, thank God you're here. And I had to get a new card sent.
That would have been euphoric. That would have been a total euphoria.
I was like, holy shit, man, thank God you're here.
Oh.
So I crapped myself for about an hour sitting in the lobby by myself. Don't know what to do.
But at such a young age, mate, what life experiences?
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, now I look back. It's funny because I slept on, because I didn't have a motel in Paris before I got the train, so I slept on a bench in the airport with my gear bag. And then every time I went to a French guy to ask what train to get on, they just looked at me and didn't answer me.
Because they can't speak.
Because they can't speak English.
Yeah,
I just thought to myself, when I got home, I thought, if I ever see a French guy in Australia and he wants to ask for directions, I'm going to send that guy the wrong way.
Look, I've been to France. I went to France with Maddie Davies, and I won't talk about our experience, but we had a real hectic experience at a train station. But I'll catch up with Maddie and I'll cover that in that one. But yeah, very different place, France.
Yeah.
Very, very different place, France.
Yeah, it's different, yeah.
Yeah, very different. Okay, mate, your achievements, where did they stop?
Yeah, I was
so many, hey?
Well, we won 12 MX1 titles in senior, 4 in '98 in 1 year, which was pretty big highlight really, because no one had ever done it, and there was only a few years where it was 4 championships, so I got that. I got the 4 in the 1 year. Yeah. And then I repeated again in '02, but it was only 3 championships. Then they combined the Supercross Masters and the Supercross together. Yeah. So we won 3 in that year. Yeah, just had the fight the whole year. Daryl King taught me a shitload about racing in '01 when he first come back from Europe, and banged me around a little bit and played mind games and done all the shit that you do as you get older. And it really taught me a lot of how to be a good racecraft. But right from the get-go, my 2 team managers when I was growing up was Jeff Leask, so he was my first ever team manager. Him and Ross McWaters was my first engine suspension guy. Jeff was team manager. Really probably laid the foundations on how to teach me how to win championships and be good. Then I went, and Craig Dack was the second one. He taught me how to be tough. As you know, Dacky, he's a hard-ass dude, there's been many times you've been on the phone or sprays in the back of the truck if you're not cutting it or you're not doing right. So he taught me how to be tough. And yeah, them 2 guys probably shaped a lot of what I got. So yeah, because you look at the level of professionalism, you look at what Leesky's done and what he's achieved, and Leesky's so quiet. He used to always just he had this look. It was like a dad's look, I'd do something wrong, and he would just, I've done something wrong. What have I done? He was good at reading what I needed. Yeah. I remember there was 1 year. It was a Supercross championship in '01, and I was winning the championship, but now to look back, I was probably being lazy. I was being just probably not working. And I was out for dinner one night at Japanese in Warners Bay with Katrina, and ordered dinner. Leesky's rang. It's like 7:30. He's rang me. He's like, and I just want to talk to you about the Supercross. And he starts ripping into me. if you don't win this Supercross championship, you're not worth the money. I'm not paying you the money, and he's just giving it to me on the phone. And I'm sitting at dinner, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm trying to not get out. I was getting angry, and he goes, but you know, if you don't win, I'm not signing next year. He was just really laying it on the line. But if you win, I'll double your bonus program.
Okay.
Okay. And I got off the phone, and I was pissed. But it's what I really needed. But at that time, I was really angry.
Yeah.
I said, Coach, let's go. We're gone. She goes, well, I've just ordered dinner. I said, let's pay for it. I'm out. I'm going home. So we left dinner. Didn't even have dinner. I was that pissed off. Won the Supercross championship. Got the double bonus.
Signed you the year after?
Signed the year after. So it was exactly what I needed at the time. And that was what Leesky was really good at.
Yeah. And Ducky probably...
Ducky just made it hard, man.
He's just hard.
Yeah, he was just hard. Like, you know, you come after a race and you was tired, or you wore out, or you got beat, or you just sitting in the truck and you'd be like, oh man, I feel like shit. And he'd look up and he'd be walking, you'd be like, fuck, here I go.
Here we go.
And
here we go.
My riders don't get tired. He'd be just India. And you just have to suck it up.
Yeah.
Go again. Yeah. That's what you needed at the time.
Because I could imagine he would have been that tough on himself racing.
Oh, he was next level. You know, you could just see how hard Ducky was even when he raced full time. You know, he was just a hard dude. He just worked his ass off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mate. Now on you coaching.
Yeah.
Because now you're doing it. I know you've been doing the coaching, and I know, mate. We can sit here and talk about this for hours and hours, but I know the progression going into the coaching, and you know, for riders like yourself and the riders that have been at that level, that have got the life experiences that you have got, wasn't an easy process to get into the coaching coming in, but
yeah, lots of crash and burn. And,
but we won't even go into that because we could be talking here for the next 3 hours. But now you're doing the coaching, mate, and you're giving that back now, and it's good to see your riders. Are in there, mate.
A lot of my guys that we work with every week, we train rain, hail, or shine.
Yeah.
We race in it. You got to ride in it. As you know, as tough as it is riding in the mud, and it is not as much fun. But sometimes you got to roll out. You got to do it. You know, I just really enjoy when I can say something to try, and then they put it into play and they make it work. It's like
a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and you know, hey man, there's been some days when you can't quite pinpoint it, or you know, and then there's done days when you're on it. You're just exactly like I've been a rider. Some days you're hitting the mark. Some days you're pushing through it. You know, so I really enjoy the challenge of with the kids that I work with. They're all great kids. They all we have a bit of fun, but while we're at training, we're serious. We want to be, you know, we have a task. We have a task. We want to win.
You're on the task, and you build up that trust.
And
you build that trust up with them as well.
Exactly, and you know, like it's like I always tell them, you know, champions work hard when no one's watching, so they can win when everyone's watching. Just
That's
like
right.
You know, if you're working during the week, it's no one's there, it's not a lot of fun. But when you go racing, everyone's there. Oh, that kid, he's gone fast. You know, that's just the best. That's the best feeling. That's one massive thing Jeff Lees taught me when I was 17. He said, when you roll through the gates to go racing, you're 100% there.
You're ready.
You've got to be. Everything's got to be about how can you do it better.
Yeah.
I really thank him for that. He really made me good at that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, and that in itself, Craig's just life skills. You know what I mean?
You got to apply yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
But all the kids that I see racing now, man, they're going fast.
They're going quick.
They're going fast. Yeah. They you know, the bike's obviously a lot better than when we had drum brakes back in the day, imaginary brakes. So, but yeah, the bikes now, the kids, they're working hard, and it's good to see.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of them, they've got all the gear, and they've got practice tracks, and they've got mum and dad that's absolutely fully dedicated to the job.
I think it's really hard right now is social media is such a really good thing, but it's also can be a downfall because when we was kids, you went to the racing senior competition, got your ass kicked or kicked your ass.
Yep.
You didn't see them again. You didn't see what we done during the week. So you got to go. It's like you got to go and hide, work on your weaknesses,
come back stronger.
Yep. Did that work? No. Oh, back to the drawing board. Now the videos they put up and the shit that you can talk and
Yeah.
you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and whether you're doing it or you're not, but it's a mind game.
The mind games are on 24/7.
Yes, you can't get away from it. So
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, you're letting your A game, you're putting your A game out there 24/7 every single day, and
Yes.
then when you turn up on Saturday or Sunday,
and you don't do
you've
as
already
good.
spent your A game.
Yeah, yep.
You know
And
what I
that's why it's one of those things that I tell the kids, just it's better to remain a bit silent and just work and keep working and working and then go to the race. Yep, that worked. Sometimes people talk too much and they get off what they're trying to achieve, and so I
Yeah.
always try to tell the kids that I work with every week that just work hard here and do your thing, go to the race, see if it works. If it don't work, we come home and work again. I always feel the more you talk, the more nervous you are.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because you're also too putting pressure on yourself.
Yes,
You're
100%.
putting pressure on yourself
Yep.
to perform, and you've made this aura around something that you haven't yet projected.
Yes.
And then you're going to turn up on race day, and then the pressure's on. You've
Pressure's
got to do
on.
this.
Yeah, so I mean, you need it's very like a balance. You need I always say you need to have the confidence to speak up, but you also need to have the silence to work.
Yeah.
And they need to balance really good, because if you get one too high, then you like you said, you go to the race, you got pressure and you stuff up, and then go, oh, that guy's talking it up last week and now he sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
And then you're down, and then you're playing a confidence game. Then
Yep, and then
you've got to
yeah,
try and
yep.
pick them up. Then, yeah. So that's the psychology side of it
Yes,
as well.
and I work with Anthony Clarica from Elite Performance.
Yep.
I worked with him for the last probably 6 years of my career.
Yeah.
I wish I worked with him from the start. I would have been even stronger again. Yeah.
Yeah. I know the sports psychologist is.
Something we don't work at. We work
Yeah.
on getting the heart rate up and getting fitter and stronger. We don't work on the head, and it's doesn't matter how much you work. If you're not strong in the head, you don't go that next level either. And that's
No.
one thing Chad's bloody champion at.
Yeah, that's look. The sports psychology of it is something I've done a lot of research in, and even for myself, being the older rider, because I've always had to come up against the new rider coming
Yeah,
up,
as soon as that
and
new
the
kid-
new rider's got their parents backing them and everyone else,
Yep.
and I'm there by myself trying to
do it.
And then, you know, I got involved in this quite some time ago about self-hypnosis.
Yep.
So the psychology part of it, I've been right into since the early 90s.
Yeah.
You know, so that's you look at it now as a massive, massive part of the
It
rider's
is.
ability.
It's getting bigger and bigger.
I don't think there's one rider, particularly at the elite level, that wouldn't be working with a sports psychologist.
No, that's
They would have
exactly.
to
You've got
That's
to be
the
now.
edge.
It is the edge. And
That's the
he's
edge.
was Elite Performance. Was it the Psychology Edge or something he called it? It was,
Mm.
and he was when I worked with him. He was the AFL Hawthorn, the whole team's psychologist for team players and coaches.
Yeah.
He worked with a few V8 supercars, Will Davison, Tander, I think James Courtney was one of them. Win Cup was one of them.
Yeah, good. And who
So-
was that again?